the Scramble for Africa. This period, beginning in the late 19th century, was a rush by European powers to colonize almost the entire African continent. At the Berlin Conference of 1884-1885, these powers literally drew up the borders of modern African nations on a map without any regard for existing ethnic, linguistic, or cultural groups. These artificial borders often separated communities that had lived together for centuries and lumped together groups with long histories of conflict. This is what created the foundation for future political instability and internal conflicts. Exploitation of resources. European colonial powers heavily exploited Africa's vast natural resources, including gold, diamonds, and other minerals, for their own economic benefit. This extraction process created economies that were dependent on exporting raw materials, leaving little in terms of industrial development or local processing. The profits from these resources rarely benefited the African people, and this legacy of resource exploitation continues to be a factor in many parts of the continent today. The legacy of colonialism. The end of colonial rule in the mid-20th century left many African nations with weak political institutions and economies designed to serve the colonizers, not the local population. The political and social structures imposed by colonial powers often led to continued power struggles and conflicts after independence. However, it's also important to recognize that many African nations have made remarkable strides in building stable democracies and fostering economic growth despite these challenges. While the idea of a unified Africa is powerful, the reality is that the continent is incredibly diverse, with over 54 countries and thousands of different ethnic groups and languages. Unity is a complex and ongoing process, and many African leaders and organizations, such as the African Union, are working towards greater cooperation and solidarity to address these historical challenges and build a prosperous future for the continent.